the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration Manual.
Is it a lawsuit? Probably. Why not?
Sergeant Bukhenik, I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally, and that's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
The search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific ring video or series of videos that were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't write the search warrant for those ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the affiant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the affiant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Who received the actual ring video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those once they were received from the Ring Corporation?
I believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant Bukhenik, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, et cetera, were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
There was discussion with Ring asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested, yes, activity log, yes.
So ultimately, the activity log would show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
Isn't it true that Ring contacted Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Ask it differently.
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with video recordings for all times displayed in UTC?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Take a look, Sergeant, at that paragraph, which my finger's on. It's about the 3rd paragraph down the middle of the page. And review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished. Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
So do you have a recollection as you sit here that in fact during the course of your investigation, the 3 items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and, quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation, you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Thank you. Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry.
Freudian slip.
No, you're not. Sergeant Bukhenik.
Sergeant Bukhenik.
How do I say it?
Bukhenik.
I'll give that a shot.
It's fine.
Bukhenik?
Yes.
Is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
if I screw it up again, please. On January 29th, you were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview at about 6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
That is not.
What time were you notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was, in fact, a sworn Boston police officer?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
I think it was during that day or the following day?
It was most likely that day, either, yeah.
Fair enough. Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
Oh, there
he
it
was
is.
assigned on the-
Right there in the first video, we already get to hear it. He was not the lead investigator. He was just a case officer. That is a huge difference. That is night and day for purposes of the investigation. If he was just a case officer, like, okay, he's a lackey, he can get fired, not fired. Okay, we all kind of worked on this together. There was somebody else who was the lead investigator. We now know for a fact, undisputed fact, that Trooper Proctor was the lead investigator in the Karen Reed homicide investigation, in the Karen Reed murder case. Why is that important? Because of the Massachusetts State Police Board's firing of the lead investigator in the Karen Reed homicide and the way Trooper Proctor handled the case as the lead investigator. That is important because now we have locked in testimony from day number 21 of courtroom testimony in the trial in 2024. This is June already, I believe. And that sworn testimony is locked in. That, no, he was not the lead investigator. He was, what did he call him? A case manager or something? Let's hear it again.
Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
Case officer.
He was assigned on-
Case officer is such a much lower ranking official. A case officer is someone who's just a lackey doing some, maybe pushing paperwork. The lead investigator is the one that takes on all the major stuff and then gets everybody else to help him out. So yeah, that is going to be big. That is going to be big in trial number 2 because Yuri's testimony, Trooper Proctor was not the lead investigator, but was in fact a case officer, when in reality he was the lead investigator, shows that Mr. Bukhenik has a little bit of, I wouldn't call it perjury. Again, I love how people love to throw that word around and say, oh, look at that, he perjured himself. Perjury, to go and call it perjury, as much as I would love to, folks, I don't think it rises to the level of perjury, but it certainly rises to the level of asking a question. You previously called him a case officer, but he was in fact called a lead investigator by his own investigative agency that ended up firing him, and for the reasons listed for him being the lead investigator. Hello? Is anybody listening? Breathe, Larry. So, calling him a case officer downplays his role, and that's what they wanted in trial number 1. They will not be able to get away with it in trial number 2. Absolutely not. Let's keep watching.
On the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call.
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't be assigned to this investigation until there was a need for the investigation. That's all I'm getting to. And once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the person that's on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation, by 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10:40 in the morning, it was your belief that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the face by a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that the defendant stated that she hit him. We did not know them.
Sergeant, you hadn't even met my client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness
He's trying.
at 10:41 in the morning, correct? Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses.
Oh.
So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them that, quote, Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
I do not recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
May I approach?
Yes.
Oh boy. That's the worst time to lie, is when we have documents to show that you did.
I'd like you to take a look at this document, and if you wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
He's just gonna say, I don't remember this.
Having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that time?
That is not true.
Oh.
What did you say to Good Samaritan Hospital?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is for the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper Yuri Bukhenik called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to a domestic situation? Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did you say that there's a possibility that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Allow that. Did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to the medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay, so when I was asking you if you ever sent it to Good Sam, you said, no, that's not true, that's never happened. You were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not at Good Sam.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m., indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
I communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
Basically, Yuri is trying to weasel out by saying, no, I never said that to Good Samaritan. Rather than saying, I did say that, just it wasn't to Good Samaritan. He's trying to play like, I don't know how much Jackson actually knows and how much he has. So I'm going to just try and play as dumb as I possibly can. And hopefully he can't nail me on anything. It is a dirty, dirty, dirty cop game. And they all know how to play it. They all have experience. They all know how to play it. And this man is unfortunately playing it quite well. But Jackson is not letting go. Let's watch.
At 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility. You indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
There you go.
What steps did you take sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time.
Let's see what Mr. Bukhenik says.
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop, we followed the evidence and statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed Ms. McCabe.
And prior to that, prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right? Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours?
That's correct.
Or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
Okay.
Suspicious.
As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not either, did he?
No, he did not.
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a compound question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
Okay.
Can you answer that question?
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them then?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you didn't, as a Massachusetts State Police official, you didn't secure the outside as a crime scene either, did you?
I did not know.
To your knowledge, nobody else from Massachusetts State Police ever did either, did they?
Yes, they did.
How was that done and when?
When members of our office and the CERT team responded to that location and secured the front yard grass area and processed it.
That was at 5:45, 6 o'clock that night on the 29th?
I believe it was earlier, but I was not present, so I can't testify to the time.
So you don't know personally what they did to quote unquote secure or not secure the crime scene. You know they searched it, but in terms of securing it as a crime scene, you don't have personal knowledge to that.
I was not present.
Okay. You never took any photos of the interior of the house, correct?
I did not know.
You never caused CSSS to go inside the house and process that house as a potential crime scene, correct?
I did not, no.
That's huge.
No forensic criminalist
Why are they
at your
protecting
direction ever went into 34 Fairview?
No, they did not.
And the people that you interviewed on January 29th, you already mentioned Ms. McCabe. The other people were her husband, Matt McCabe, correct?
That's correct.
And her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. Is that right?
That is correct.
And all three of them were interviewed where?
They were interviewed at the McCabe residence.
Now, yesterday when you testified, did you indicate that Brian Albert was not present in the home when you interviewed Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe?
He was not present in the dining room when we were interviewing each individual separately.
So if all three of them testified that he arrived before you arrived, they would all be wrong.
I did not see him in the home when we arrived, no.
I want to switch gears real quick to a couple of the physical items that you testified about yesterday, specifically the gray shirt, or the gray hoodie and the orange shirt. You and Trooper Proctor collected both of those items you indicated from the floor of the hospital at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's correct.
You testified that you and Trooper Proctor immediately bagged both of those items. They were sort of sopping wet, I think you said.
That's correct.
You indicated that the bags were so wet that you had to take the items back out of the bags and then laid them out on, I think you said butcher paper. Is that right?
The items were soaked and wet. They were bagged, double bagged, to prevent leakage of physiological fluids and the moisture coming off of it. And then once they were transported to the office, they were laid out on butcher paper in order to dry naturally.
So you went from Good Samaritan directly to Dighton, correct?
That is correct.
And then you went from Dighton directly to the Canton Police Department, after which you had seized the vehicle, correct? And the phone.
We seized the phone in the vehicle in Dighton and then followed the tow truck straight to the Canton Police Department.
So at some point, if you had received or gathered the wet clothing at Good Sam, went from Good Sam to Dighton Canton PD, at what point that evening did you finally get those items of clothing out and laid out to dry?
It was late that night, around 10 or so.
So where were the items in the meantime?
They were stored in the back passenger compartment of my pickup truck.
In those double bags?
Correct.
Who took control of the items to then lay them out late that night at the office?
I do not recall.
Is that you or Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
At some point, obviously, it was getting late. You'd been on duty for a long time that day. You went home at some point, correct?
At some point, yes.
Did you wait for those clothes to dry before you went home, or did you leave that in Trooper Proctor's hands?
No, once they were laid out in the processing area in the office, we went home.
Okay. Who would have controlled those items of evidence when you left?
Well, they're under lock and key within the secure area of the district attorney's office, so they're secured. Nobody's in physical control watching guard over them.
Who had access to that area?
Troopers in our office.
Meaning you, obviously.
Yes.
Supervisor. Trooper Proctor as well, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Ultimately, given the fact that he was the case officer, sort of in charge, the lead, he would have bagged those items up, been responsible for taking those items, tagging them, getting them stored wherever they needed to be stored and processed, correct?
Notice how Jackson kind of weaved that in. That was very sneaky and very subtle, and I loved it. Since he was the case officer and he was in charge and he was the lead. Like, he's not letting it go because he knows he was the lead investigator. Everybody knows he was the lead investigator. Him and his lackeys are the only ones who refuse to admit he was the lead investigator because of all the crap that he has done. Calling Karen Reed the C word and just saying abhorrent things that no professional should ever say about another human being, period.
Case officer, he could direct other people to perform those tasks for him. The evidence officers in the office log in the evidence, and once it was dried, it was sealed up, bagged, and put into storage. As far as who actually performed those tasks, I do not know.
Well, yesterday, Your Honor, may I approach courts, right? There's a couple of evidence.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
This is not a vision contest. I'll bring these up to you in just a second, but just for familiarity's sake, do you recognize these two bags as bags that you brought to court with you yesterday?
They look familiar, yes.
Okay. This one has a 437 on it on my right. The one on my left has a 438 on it. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open those. Don't worry about gloving up at this point. The bag on your left, which one is that, 437 or 438?
The bag on my left is 437.
437, okay. And you indicated that those items were bagged after the clothing was dried and then ultimately processed in, logged in, correct?
Once the items dried, they were bagged and logged in, waiting process, yes.
But you didn't personally do that?
No, I did not, no.
Matter of fact, looking at the bag on your right, what's been marked as Exhibit 430, help me? 438, thank you. That one has some writing on it, correct?
Yes, it has a lot of handwriting on it, yes.
And whose handwriting is that?
I don't know.
You've seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting 1,000 times, I guess, correct?
Not 1,000 times, but
Does it look like his writing?
it says Trooper Proctor on it, but other than that, I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting looks like.
All right. It indicates that Trooper Proctor is the one that bagged that item or those items up, correct?
Yes, this bag indicates that the item was collected by Trooper Proctor on 129.
Right.
This is important. Why is it important? Because what we did not have in trial number 1 that we will have for trial number 2 is a document from the Massachusetts State Police stating that Trooper Proctor was fired basically for conduct unbecoming a law enforcement officer and in his capacity as the lead investigator in the Karen Reed case, looking into the death of Officer John O'Keefe. So in this portion of the trial, because Yuri is trying to downplay Proctor's involvement by just calling him, he was just a case officer, Jackson is trying to show, no. He was not just a case officer. He was the lead. He's collecting evidence himself, bagging it up, making sure it's all proper. And Yuri, of course, he's trying to evade. He's looking like, listen, I don't know nothing. I don't see nothing. I don't hear nothing. These police officers, they're worse than mafiosos. I swear to you. It's the typical government trick, you know? There's just so many people involved and they just point the finger. It's that classic Spider-Man meme. You know, they all point the finger at each other. It was him. And no, it was not me. It was him. Or it was him. And they go, no, it wasn't. It was me. It was not him. It was not me. It was him. It was him. No, it was him. And that's what Yuri is doing here. It's like, oh, Trooper Proctor? No, he didn't have an involvement. He was just a case officer. Just same with me. I don't know anything. I don't know nothing. And then by the time you're done questioning all of them, it's like, we learned nothing because every single one is like, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. It's exhausting, but this is what you have to do as a criminal defense practitioner when you deal with witnesses that are unwilling to cooperate, that are unwilling to answer questions directly, who are not willing to tell the truth. You have to dissect, break it down. Okay, let's look at the bag. What does it say? It says Trooper Proctor. You know his handwriting? You've seen it 1,000 times. Well, not 1,000 times, but you have seen it before. Well, sure, I've seen it before. Does it look like his? Well, it just, you're going in circles.
And it says Brockton, correct?
Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, yes.
You just took the question out of my mouth. That's where Good Samaritan Hospital is, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a tag or a printed label, looks like a label maker of some sort, that is on that physical bag, correct?
Yes.
Before we get to that, what's the description on that bag in handwriting?
I'm sorry, can you be specific as to description of what, or?
Where it says description of items.
Description of enclosed evidence?
Correct.
It says 1 orange t-shirt, 1 gray long sleeve shirt.
Okay, so may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
And before I do that, just so I close this loop, what's the description on the bag to your left, the one that looks like it's less sprinkled?
Number 437?
Yes, if you would read the same clothing description.
The description of enclosed evidence states sweatshirt with recovered items inside container.
Okay, may I approach now?
Yes.
Thank you. Yesterday when you opened, I'll keep my voice up. Yesterday when you opened these two bags, this one, 437, has the gray sweatshirt in it. 438 has the orange t-shirt in it now, correct?
That's what was in the bag, yes.
All right. However, the bag indicates at one point, this bag, 438, the physical bag I'm holding in my left hand, had both the sweatshirt and the t-shirt together, correct?
That's what the description is. I do not know if that was in case or in fact the case.
The reason you don't know is because you're not the one that bagged Trooper Proctor did, correct?
The reason I don't know is I wasn't present during the separation of those items, and I did not observe it taking place, nor was I made aware of how the items were separated or when.
You are aware, however, that tag that's on the label maker looking tag, the white tag that's on that bag indicates that indicates a date of February 4th, correct?
You'd have to bring that back up. I'm
sorry.
I didn't take note of that.
My fault. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Just direct your attention to the tag and the date associated with that tag.
The label maker tag does have the date February 4th, 2022 on bag number exhibit 438.
May I approach?
Yes.
So 5 days after, maybe they were drying still. I remember this testimony. It's been a while. That's why we're redoing it now, to get a refresher.
That's obviously 6 days after
6 days.
the item was actually recovered on the 29th, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that indicates, at least based on that tag, that that item was not booked into evidence and processed until 6 days after it was actually recovered on the floor at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
The date indicates February 4th, 2022.
Right. And that date would be indicative, in your experience, of the date that it's moved into processing by some other folks, the evidence sergeants or whomever, or the evidence officers, rather, or whomever, correct?
I can't speak to their procedures as far as when they print the date. That date could be when they printed the label, but the bag might have been
What?
tagged otherwise. I do not know that.
But there's no other tag on that bag that suggests an earlier date, correct?
There's just that one tag from the label maker.
Yeah.
My question to you, if you
Oh,
know,
my God.
sir, and you may not know, is what was happening to these items between January 29th, after you lost sight of them that night on the butcher paper, and February 4th, when that tag indicates that they were first processed?
To the best of my knowledge, those items were drying on the butcher paper.
For 6 days?
If that's what the label maker says, yes, for 6 days. They were soaking wet.
And those would have been certainly accessible to and in the possession of the lead case officer in the case, was Trooper Proctor, right?
Yes, if Trooper Proctor needed to review those items, he would have access to those items. Absolutely.
And you're also aware that the first actual log of any chain of custody for those items is March 14th, when they were finally submitted 6 weeks later to the crime lab.
That is not true. The first actual log of those items is when we collected them from the hospital.
Where's the log? I'm talking about a physical log, like sign in, sign out log. Where's the log?
It's documented in the reports saying that we collected them.
I know that there's a report. Anybody can write a report, right? I could write a report. Doesn't mean anything.
Objection.
I'm asking for a log.
Objection.
So the objection sustained.
Obviously, when items move in and out of people's custody in an official capacity for the Massachusetts State Police, there's a log of that.
That's right.
Correct?
It's documented.
Should
Yes.
be.
Or at least it should be. Correct?
It's documented.
Where's the log of these items before March 14th?
It's documented in the report.
There is no log, is there, Sergeant?
Oh.
I do not know.
Okay.
Oh, man.
I want to talk a little bit about
Wow. What a doozy.
I want to talk a little bit about some searches that Mr. Lally asked you about, February 4th and February 10th, very specifically. Both of those searches you were involved with out at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
But, Sergeant, you didn't personally write a report about your conduct at 34 Fairview on either of those 2 dates. In other words, you didn't go back to the station and generate a report yourself.
I don't recall doing that, no.
Photos that you took of the items at the location,
I did,
those took photos, correct?
I did not take photos of the items. no.
Okay. And the first report that indicates anything that happened or was recovered at the location on either February 4th or February 10th, that was first notated in a report dated November 4th, 2023, year and several months later, correct?
If you say so, I do not know the exact date. That report would have to be presented to me.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're finished already. What's the date of that? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the report that actually talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches?
It does.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
This report is dated November 4th, 2023.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as it relates to those two searches, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the February 4th search first. You indicated that you actually responded to 34 Fairview personally, correct?
I was responding to that location on my own. I personally responded, yes.
Okay. That was because you had received information that Chief Berkowitz had seen something or found something. Is that right? Chief Berkowitz from Canton PD.
That is not correct, no.
Okay. So when you got there, was Chief Berkowitz there?
Yes, he was.
You just happened to go by 34 Fairview at the exact same time on the exact same date as Chief Berkowitz, or was that coordinated in some way?
There was no coordination between me and Chief Berkowitz. As I testified, I had directed the troopers to go by the location. I planned to go by the location in the morning on the way to the office and in the afternoon on the way home, just to see if any more items would reveal themselves. So that morning, I was actually traveling to that location in order to conduct a view of the area to see if any more evidence had been revealed. Prior to my arrival, approximately while I was on Chapman Street, I received a call indicating that Chief Berkowitz was at the location, yes.
And was there also an Officer Lank, Sergeant Lank?
I do not know if Sergeant Lank was there, no.
Okay. Chief Berkowitz certainly was there.
Yes.
And Chief Berkowitz indicated that as he was driving by, he saw a piece of plastic.
Yes.
And stopped his car and then started making phone calls.
I believe that's what he indicated to the caller, yes.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by the location in the first place?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You knew at that point that the Canton Police Department had been recused because of at least an appearance or potential for a conflict of interest, correct?
I knew they recused themselves due to only in respect to interviews. They didn't want to conduct interviews with us side by side.
I mean, if there's a conflict of interest, Sergeant, for a department, conducting the interviews is just one aspect of an investigation, correct?
I'm not going to speak to a conflict of interest, but yes, conducting an interview is just one aspect of the investigation, yes.
So is it your testimony that your understanding was they couldn't conduct interviews, but they could collect evidence, store evidence, write search warrants, get returns on search warrants, execute search warrants, conduct searches? They could do all that but not conduct interviews?
Right.
My understanding was they were recusing themselves from conducting interviews. They still allowed us to use their facilities. We utilized their conference room to conduct interviews. There was evidence being stored at their Sally port,
Dodging
being
the
the
question.
vehicle. So that was my understanding.
Isn't it true that you knew that the entirety of the Canton Police Department had recused itself because of a familiarity between one of their members, Kevin Albert, and the Albert family on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found?
Yep.
That was the conflict, correct?
I knew that was the connection between them, yes.
And you understood, sir, that that agency was to have nothing, from an investigative standpoint, nothing to do with this investigation, correct?
They were not conducting the investigation, no.
Matter of fact, Trooper Proctor and you supervising him, y'all were conducting the investigation, right?
Our office was conducting the investigation.
So did you find it unusual or suspicious in any way that the chief of police for the conflicted Canton PD was the person driving by 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Sergeant?
He would have to repeat it. There's just so much I can't.
It was a little wordy. I'll try it again. Did you find that suspicious?
Which part? You have to repeat the whole thing.
That Chief Berkowitz from the conflicted Canton PD was at 34 Fairview looking for evidence.
Yeah.
The way you posed the question, I did not find it suspicious at all. He's the chief of the police in the town where he works, and he's driving down the street. I mean, that's not suspicious.
With a conflict of interest on the very case that he's driving by.
Yeah.
Objection.
Sustained.
Yeah, but the jury heard it. That's all he needs. Jackson, I mean.
You certainly knew, as a supervisor over the case officer, that any involvement by Canton Police Department, given the fact that there's a potential conflict, any involvement by them could compromise your otherwise clean investigation. You knew that, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Did Chief Berkowitz disclose to you that morning on February 4th that he had been communicating with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, two witnesses, on your case that morning?
Objection.
Sustained.
If you knew information about communication between and among Canton PD and your witnesses, you would find that inappropriate, would you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
You returned to the scene on February 10th, is that right? To conduct another search, you said.
I was present on the 10th, yes.
Who dispatched you back to, or did anybody dispatch you back to that location on February 10th? How did you end up there is a better way to ask it.
February 10th, just like previous days, we made plans to go to the location in the morning, in the afternoon, drive by. I was on my way to work and to home. So I traveled that route on purpose. And as evidence revealed itself due to the natural melting of the snow, we would stop and collect the visible evidence.
You believe at this point, sir, that whatever you might collect at the scene would obviously be important, correct?
Anything we collected that had evidentiary value or presented itself as somehow related to the crime or the incident would be collected.
And it would be important to the investigation, right? You treat it as important.
It is important, yes.
So my question is, was, especially as it relates to the February 10th search, where there were multiple items found, did you seek to have CSSS come out and actually either mark with GPS coordinates or measure with cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point, that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic. We simply collected it for processing.
So the location of each one of those items was not of that great importance to you, at least at that time?
It was of great importance as to the fact that it was located in the vicinity where the victim was found and in the vicinity of other items located of the same characteristic, shape, size, and color.
So that's my question, Sergeant. What does vicinity mean?
In the area.
Okay, what does area mean?
It's a location, specific location.
Okay, are we talking about, because we do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of 5 feet or an area of 50 feet?
Based on where the items were recovered, we're talking about an area approximately of 30 square feet between the roadway into the grass.
We saw photographs, Sergeant, of items that were butted up against a fire hydrant in one instance, correct? Okay, yes?
That's correct, yes.
A drinking straw that's out in the road, correct?
That's correct.
Another shard of glass that's in the grass, closer to the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
A hat that's under the snow, adjacent to the left side of the flagpole, correct? I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was closer to the electrical box, wasn't it?
No, the pictures documented where the hat was. It was to the right of the flagpole.
So these shards of glass, the point I'm asking is, did you seek to use basic cross coordinates, measurements from something that you know is a known object, like for instance, I don't know, a flagpole or a fire hydrant. 27 inches to the north and a foot and a half to the south of those two known points, that would give you a cross coordinate, correct?
It would document the exact location, correct?
And you did not do that with any of these items, correct?
The items that were not photographed were not also GPS located, but they were within the same vicinity of where the other items were collected.
But again, now we're back to the same question.
What?
Your word for vicinity might be different than my word for vicinity, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
That's a valid question.
When you recover these items, or any other items, it's obviously important to memorialize on the evidence bag or in some other way exactly where they're found, who found them, the date, time, etc. Correct?
We do the best we can to document all known information on each evidence item bagged at the time.
And in terms of the February 10th search, I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about that evidence bag. Did you bag the items into a single evidence bag that you found that day, or do you recall?
I would have to see the bag. If you have those available, I'll take a look. I can answer
With
them.
the court's permission, exhibit, I think it's 310, that was entered into evidence yesterday. I'd like to display that for a second.
Okay.
You're looking at a photograph of what was previously entered into evidence as 310. Can you see that from where you're at? I don't have the evidence bag with me, so if you don't, I can certainly ask the space to enlarge it.
If you can enlarge it, please.
Just a portion of the right. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I didn't realize I've got a photograph of it.
Do you need the lights on, Sergeant?
Please.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should make it easier. Sergeant, have you been able to familiarize yourself with that evidence bag?
With the photograph, yes.
Okay, thank you. Taking a look at that evidence bag, it has the information on it, has your name is collected by, correct?
Correct.
The date of collection is February 10th, is that right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. And it indicates multiple pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, right? It actually says 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, correct?
That's correct.
But that is not an evidence bag that's filled out by you.
I did not fill that bag out, no.
As a matter of fact, that's Trooper Proctor's handwriting.
I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting is. I cannot confirm that that's his handwriting.
But it's not your handwriting.
It is not my handwriting, no.
So are you aware that this particular bag, that bag that contained those 6 items of plastic material that you already deemed was incredibly important to the investigation, was never going into any evidence until March 14th, the date that it was submitted to the crime lab?
I was not aware of that, no.
We can take that down, Mr. Bates. If I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Did you ever draft a report yourself documenting the recovery of those 6 items and the other 14 items that you said that you found on the same date, February 10th?
I did not, no.
Did you leave that assuming that Trooper Proctor would document that?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
I'll ask it another way if I can. Did you believe that you didn't need to write a report, Sergeant, because Trooper Proctor would take care of that?
Better question.
I knew that it would be documented. It was already documented on the actual bag as far as who collected it, when, where, what it was, and a report eventually would be authored on it.
But the where, for all these very intricate pieces, the where is left to 3430 on the back, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
The general vicinity location of the other items collected and documented with photographs was consistent with the same locations this was collected.
Based on the documentation that you just mentioned, that it's documented on the bag, and if the bag is presented to the crime lab on on March 14th, some 5 weeks later, those items were completely unaccounted for from a log standpoint for the entire time from when they were collected until they were booked at the crime lab, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Yeah,
Possession of those
rephrase it.
items of
There you
those
go.
4, 5, 6 weeks.
Are you talking about the items that were just displayed on the screen?
I am, sir.
I did not.
Now I'd like to shift gears to a ring video that you saw yesterday. It's in Exhibit 6, video number 153. That may mean nothing to you. It's the 5:07 a.m. video of Miss Reed's car pulling out of the One Meadows garage. Do you remember that video?
I do.
Okay. You indicated yesterday on questioning, under questioning by Mr. Lally, that Miss Reed's car came in contact with or close to coming in contact with the other vehicle, the Traverse, in the video. Is that right?
The video, as I watched the video, I observed the vehicle come near Mr.
So that's a
O'Keefe's
yes.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about.
Just say yes or no.
With the court's permission, may we play that video one more time?
Okay.
Bates, if you can pull that up, and then I'm going to ask you to pause it and get out of the way. Okay? Okay, can you just play that for a quick second, and then I'll ask you to pause it. Pause. Does that appear to be, I'm just pausing it in the first 2 or 3 seconds, does that appear to be the video that you saw yesterday?
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bates, if you could enlarge the area around the left rear tire of the Traverse. I'm going to ask you, sir, if you'll pay close attention to what's been zoomed, and when the SUV gets close to it, I'm going to pause it and ask you another question. Can you go ahead and play this?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this.
So why don't we pause the screen, take it down, and I'll see you at sidebar.
Okay, go ahead and enlarge the rear area of the Traverse. And I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to that wheel and any movement that you may or may not see.
Of course, Lally objected. He did not want this information coming into evidence for the jury to see once again because, first of all Alan Jackson is doing is enlarging the image. He's enhancing the image. He's not modifying it in any way. Lally doesn't want, whatever Jackson is cooking, Lally doesn't want to give Jackson an opportunity to show that to the jury. And that's ridiculous. This is highly relevant. He played that video yesterday. So why can't Jackson play it today? What's the problem? With a little bit of an audio-visual, or in this case, just visual enhancement. Lally's just playing his own dirty tricks, and he's hoping that maybe Auntie Bev will simply give him what he's asking for. But as we can clearly see, the objection was overruled, and Jackson is moving forward with his cross-examination.
Okay, in about the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention to the wheel. Go ahead. We can have the lights on.
The wheel moved. Contact was made.
Sergeant, were you able to see that video? I know it's not the clearest thing in the world. Were you able to see that video okay?
Yes,
What
I
did
did.
you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
What would you assess based on the movement of the rear wheel of the Traverse about whether or not the two vehicles came in contact with one another?
Objection.
Sustained.
Can't speak to that because he wasn't there and he didn't see it. It's a great question to plant in the jury's mind. I see what Jackson is trying to do. I would have probably done the same thing because you want to get every little piece of evidence that helps your client into evidence. It doesn't matter if it gets objected to. It doesn't matter if the objection is sustained. The jury heard it, and that's all that's important. The jury saw the wheel move, and that's probably the moment when Karen cracked her taillight. Because if you remember, Nicholas Barrows testified that the wheel was cracked but not broken. The taillight was cracked but not broken. Yeah, and that's probably where it happened. And then Proctor and the gang decided to totally break it up and scatter its metaphorical ashes over 34 Fairview to make it look like the impact was there, which again, it's so ludicrous, so unrealistic. How dumb do they think people are to think that a car versus pedestrian accident is not going to make the SUV like collapse unto itself? I mean, it's got to be high impact. And how did he get hit in the head? How does he get the bumps on the... All right, I'm not going to go over all of it again. I have been skeptical about this from the moment I got this information in September of 2023, about 6 months before the trial started, when Turtle Boy, shout out to you, Aiden, for bringing this to my attention, because I couldn't believe it. I thought 100% this case is going to settle before trial. There's no way that any jury in the universe would convict based on these facts. But they're trying. They're trying. It's like the wildest, craziest trial conspiracy that we have in recent times. The attempted framing of an innocent woman to protect the Canton Mafia. And that's terrifying because anybody could end up in this position when government officials and law enforcement agents all conspire with one another to say, you know what, we're all buddies, we're all friends, we're all going to protect each other. We need to frame someone for this. That's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my time wisely, Your Honor. Yesterday, Sergeant, you were asked about a couple of videos related to the Sallyport garage. Do you have that in mind?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we watched one of them pretty specifically toward the end of the day yesterday. Did you actually... I want to talk about the one that is the clearer of the two, where you slip. You remember that one?
If you pull it up, I can.
I will in just a second.
Okay.
There was one where Mr. Lally paused it and you were slipping in front of the vehicle.
I don't recall myself slipping, no, but it was icy that day. So if there's documentation of me slipping, I might have happened.
Fair enough. I didn't mean anything by that other than that was a moment that I thought you might recall to differentiate the videos. It's Exhibit 446, but I don't think that's going to help you. All right, let's see if I can do this another way. Did you actually personally go to Canton PD to retrieve any or all of the videos of the Sallyport? You yourself?
I did go to Canton and collect already extracted video.
Okay.
But it was a portion of video surveillance. I didn't collect all of the video, so I...
When was the most recent time that you went to Canton to collect a portion of the video?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you review well, let me ask it this way. Did you collect a video that was sought on or about April 23rd, April 24th this year, meaning just a few weeks ago?
Did I collect it?
Correct.
I did not collect that video of April this year, no.
You're aware that the video that you saw yesterday was in fact collected after the trial started in April of 2024?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you aware of when that video that we saw yesterday was collected?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I am not aware.
Okay. Was yesterday the first time you'd seen that video?
No.
When had you seen that video previously?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay. What were the circumstances in which you saw that video?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why?
Did you have a meeting with the DA?
Objection.
Sustained.
Wait.
Did you ever have any kind of
Wait, hold on. Why are these objections getting sustained? He doesn't have attorney-client privilege between him and the prosecutor. Am I missing something?
communication with Mr. Lally about your testimony?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why? Why? Why is this getting sustained? This should not be getting sustained. He's asking very specific questions. You talked to Mr. Lally before you came here today. Objection. Sustained. First of all, what's the basis for the objection? Why is it getting sustained? We don't know. We don't know. It's just, I don't like that question. Objection. Okay, I agree with you. I don't want to hear the answer either. Sustained. But it's a valid question, Judge. And Alan Jackson is about to put the hammer down. Bring down the hammer, Jackson. They're going to have a quick bench conference. Sidebar, as we call them in Massachusetts. We call them bench conferences. Same thing. By the way, I'm using the trial channels footage. So they have so graciously did this for the internet folk. They have a lot of trials on their channel, which is really great. And of course, they covered this channel as well. And they took out all the pauses, all the sidebars, and they put timestamps in the video. So shout out to the trial channel for letting me use your footage. I really appreciate you.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have any meetings or communications with Mr. Lally in anticipation of your testimony?
Yes.
When was that?
It was about 2 weeks ago, and then last week, I believe.
And what was discussed, generally?
Generally, we discussed the portions of the case that I would be presenting.
Did you write a report about your communications with Mr. Lally?
No, I did not.
Were you shown any of the videos that you've seen here in anticipation of your testimony?
Not during the first meeting. I did review a video during the second time.
Okay, and that video that you did see the second time was the interior video of the Sally Port that we saw yesterday, correct?
I'm just trying to remember exactly what video I saw. I had reviewed videos outside of our meeting, so
The questions are coming in.
I don't remember exactly what video Mr. Lally showed me.
But you do recall seeing the video that you saw yesterday, the sort of clear one that has the crime scene taping put up and all that. You have seen that one before,
Yes,
and that was with Mr. Lally, correct?
that is not correct because I do not recall when I saw that video or what video I saw with Mr. Lally.
I see. All right. I'd like to talk about that Exhibit 446 for a second, and then I'll show it to you. You indicated that the video, all the videos, everything that you saw yesterday was true and accurate, correct? Based on your memory of the events that were memorialized in the video?
The video captures events taking place in accurate fashion, yes.
In an accurate fashion. All right, that's what I wanted to find out. And after you watched the video, I think you were asked by Mr. Lally, does the video show you or Trooper Proctor having access to or messing with in any way that right rear tail light in any fashion? And you said, never.
I was asked if at any point Trooper Proctor and I had came into contact, I believe, or touched the vehicle and that portion of the vehicle, and I said never. We never touched the vehicle prior to it being properly processed with a search warrant.
And that was specifically his question was to, and your answer was to the right rear portion of the vehicle, right? That right rear tail light.
The right rear damaged taillight, correct.
Right.
And that's very important because if they messed around with the right rear tail light, that would implicate them. It would show the frame job. Like, in full swing, in full force. So they have to distance themselves as much as possible from, we were nowhere near the taillight, because if we were, if there's video evidence of them taking that sucker apart, that would be the end of the trial. Literally, on the spot, the jury would have automatically assumed it was a frame job and that Karen Reed is innocent, factually and legally, and they would have acquitted across the board. So that's why Yuri's like, no, of course not.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play a portion of Exhibit 446.
Okay.
Before we begin playing it, Mr. Bates, if you wouldn't mind, may I inquire, Your Honor, of the witness, just to lay a foundation?
Yes.
Sergeant, do you recognize this as being the video that we saw yesterday?
It does look accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. This is 446, just so you have it in mind if I reference that. Mr. Bates, if you could play that. And I think it's runtime 120. Go ahead and pause it. Do you recognize that as the video we saw yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Very briefly, if you could move to time of day, 5:37:05.
When you fast rewind it, it looks like they're laying down snow in their police department. It's kind of funny to just watch it. I just found that humorous. I thought I'd share that with you guys. They're like, hey, you guys want to do a line of snow? And they're just lying a bunch of snow on the ground.
Okay. Yes. With the court's permission, can we play at this point?
Yes.
All right, that shows the vehicle coming into the Sally Port, and we're looking at which side of the vehicle?
So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. What that video depicts is a mirror collection. Although mirrors are accurate representation of what you're seeing, it's just inverted. So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. I do not know why it is inverted, but that's the way it was presented, collected and presented from Canton Police.
Can you see a timestamp or a time and date stamp on the bottom of that? It's in blue.
I cannot know.
Okay. Does it appear that time and date stamp, if you can't read every letter on it, that is in correct order? In other words, that's not inverted.
I cannot read it, no.
All right, let's go ahead and play this for a second.
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle.
Okay.
We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
Notice how, again, just like in part 4, notice how we didn't touch the vehicle. We're not touching the vehicle. We're not coming anywhere near the vehicle. Stop accusing me of touching the vehicle. I didn't break the headlight, okay? Bud, leave me alone.
I missed that. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know. I know for a fact I'm the gentleman that's wearing a dark olive drab State Police baseball style hat, and Trooper Mike Proctor is wearing a winter hat.
Trooper Proctor's wearing what?
A winter hat.
Back that up. That was playing, and I didn't realize it was playing while you were talking. And stop. Yesterday, when you testified, you indicated that the two individuals in this scene were you and Trooper Proctor, correct?
That is not correct. There was two individuals in the rear of the vehicle I shined my light to. That was me and Trooper Proctor.
Do you see Trooper Proctor toward the back of the rear of the vehicle there?
I can't tell because of what the head is. I just know that Trooper Proctor was wearing a black hat.
Which the person in that in the video to the left, to the rear of the car, is wearing a black hat, correct?
I can't tell. I don't want to be locked into a statement where later on you show me that it's somebody else magically. I can't testify to that.
There's no magic about this. It's your testimony. I'm just asking you what you see.
He already testified to this on direct examination the previous day with Mr. Lally, that yes, it was. And now he's afraid to lock himself in? Like, are you kidding me? Really? You're going to be doing that now, Mr. Bukhenik? That is completely inappropriate. You can't change your testimony from direct examination to cross-examination just because you're afraid of what question may come next. Wow, these guys are cowards because they know they messed up very seriously.
I don't see that, no.
Do you see the person toward the back of the vehicle walking toward the opposite side of the SUV?
I do.
What area does he appear to be going to?
He appears to be going towards the rear passenger side of the vehicle, although it does not appear so because the video is inverted, a mirror image. That's where he's going.
And Sergeant Bukhenik, you testified for at least a half an hour about this video yesterday, correct?
I'm sorry, it was a long day. I don't know the timing of how long I testified.
You significantly testified about this video yesterday, did you not?
I testified about this video.
And you testified that it was true and accurate, correct?
Correct.
You testified that it was reflective of your observations of what was happening in that Sally Port that morning.
Yep.
I testified that this is a accurate.
And that was a lie, right, Sergeant? Because the video is actually inverted. It is not an actual real depiction of events as you remember them, because everything we're looking at is backwards. Left is right, right is left. Except up is still up and down is still down.
Scene and collection of video evidence from the Sally Port.
And as that truck sits in that Sally Port, just like this, it appears from all perspectives that what we're looking at is the passenger side of the car, and that right rear taillight is right there shining in our face, correct? From this perspective.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
From this perspective, from the perspective that the jurors are looking at,
Okay.
from all indications, that would appear to be the right side of the truck, the passenger side of the truck, and that taillight that you can see is the right rear taillight from this perspective.
From this
The
perspective.
way it presents itself, yes.
Right,
And
there you go.
yesterday, during the entirety of your questioning,
Yep.
Mr. Lowry,
Yep,
not once
here it comes.
did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted.
I did not know.
Mr. Lowry didn't
Really?
ask you if it was inverted.
Really?
That's correct.
And if I hadn't gotten up here and begun questioning you, that would be left uncorrected, correct?
Objection.
That's true. It's true. Jury heard it. Doesn't
The
matter.
person with the winter cap appears to walk directly to the what ultimately should be the right rear taillight of this car, correct?
That's the vicinity, yes. That's where he is. Yeah.
I'd like you to pay attention to the right rear of this car. And I know we're completely backward, but it's the far corner of the car. Do you see a person's head there?
It appears as if someone's still there.
And that person is located at or near what portion of the car?
In real life or as it's depicted?
Is the person near in real life, near the right rear taillight of the car?
Yes.
Matter of fact, standing there, hovering around there, correct?
We don't know the distance that they are in proximity to the actual vehicle. We just know that they're behind the vehicle. That
Looks like it's pretty close, doesn't it, Sergeant?
Objection.
Sustained.
It does look
Does
that
look
way.
like he's in close proximity to the right rear taillight?
As I said, I can't tell how far away he is from the vehicle.
His head's right there, sir. You can't tell that he's right next to the right rear taillight?
Objection.
Sustained.
He just can't admit it.
I want you to pay attention to what that person does as soon as the other person comes out from behind that car. See if you see him move. Stop it. Do you see that person move?
I saw movement in the frame, yes.
Right when the other person is in eyesight of the person toward
Teleported.
the right, correct?
There's a cutscene.
I mean, the video speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
It's
No
true.
commenting, Mr. Jackson.
But
We've
it's-
talked about that.
It's true.
I'm going to ask Mr. Bates to back it up because there's one other issue I want you to pay attention to, if you can, right at this moment or right before this moment, and that is the timestamp. We back it up maybe 10 seconds. Right about there. Don't play it yet. Instead of paying attention to the individuals, I'm going to ask you, can you see, may I approach the screen, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can you see the timestamp at 5:37 and 37 seconds p.m.? Can you see that from where you're at?
No, I cannot.
Me neither. That's why I don't walk up to it. Let's play it for about 10 seconds. Pause it.
There's a scene cut.
Did you see another person just appear toward the rear end of the car?
There was a fog of some sorts. It did appear as if a person was actually in. There was two people back there, and two people walked away, or one person walked away.
The timestamp jumped to 5:38:01. Correct?
I cannot see the timestamp, sir.
I don't know why Jackson didn't do this in the trial. Maybe he wanted to keep Yuri under control and in the witness stand. But what I do in these types of scenarios is I make the witness stand up, walk to the video, and we're going to do this again, okay? You ready? Go back 10 seconds. What's the timestamp? It's 5:37, whatever. Okay, let's keep watching. You see it goes, yep, 5:30, and then, oh, yeah, it jumped to 5:38. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. You know, that's what I would do.
Appear that there was an anomaly. There was a portion of that video that was deleted. Or it's missing. Not deleted, but just missing.
Objection.
Can you tell that? Does it appear that way to you, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor, I cannot tell what is happening with the video.
Of course you can, because it immediately that would implicate you. That would incriminate you. It's essentially a way of pleading the fifth for cops. Instead of pleading the fifth, they just say, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't understand, I can't speak to that. That's their pleading the fifth. Cops plead the fifth like that all the time on the witness stand. It's extremely common, very common tactic.
If you take a close look at there's a classic police car in that Sally Port, correct?
There's an antique vehicle there, yes.
If you take a close look at the trunk of that vehicle,
The lettering is backwards,
it's the word police.
if you've noticed.
Yes, I believe I can read that, yes.
And it's backward, correct?
It is mirrored, correct.
That's a good indication that this is an inverted video, right?
It appears that way, yes.
And if we were to fast forward at 5:42,
If I were Jackson, I would have made Yuri get up off his ass, walk all the way over to the screen, be like, okay, we're going to play it together. You ready? There's a piece missing here. Because Jackson, even though Jackson got it in and the jury heard it, I don't think that's enough. I think he needs to get the cop to admit it. And I'm not saying I'm better than Jackson in any way, shape, or form. It's just, I guess, stylistic preference. Maybe Jackson didn't want to waste too much time and harp on that one timestamp. The fact that the jury saw a man literally teleport from one point to another in the video, or just magically appear, is enough. I don't know if I was enough, though, in the moment. I don't know.
About another 20 seconds, Mr. Booth. There you go. Can we just play it at this point? No. You get when you pause it. Pause it. You see the Sallyport garage came down?
Yes,
You see a number on the garage?
I do.
Is that correct?
What is correct?
Does the number appear correct? How do you make it for?
No, the number's in the mirror image, yes.
I just wanted to make the point. Everything in this video is completely backward, correct?
It's not backwards, it's mirrored, reversed. You can look yourself in the mirror in the morning, you still see your own face. It's not backwards.
But my mirror image is not an accurate depiction of who I am. My
Check.
actual physical appearance is who I am, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
A mirror image, Sergeant, is not an accurate video of this, is it?
Objection.
It's a mirror image by definition.
Yeah.
Sustained.
Oh.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Come on, Bev. You know he's
Your
right.
Honor, thank you. I don't think I need to. I would like to mark.
There are the sirens again that we talked about in the previous video. It could be a legitimate emergency. The reality of the situation is more than likely, 9 times out of 10, it is staged. There is that 10% that are, like, those again sound like fire trucks. They may be heading to a fire to help a civilian or a citizen who may be experiencing a fire. So that is possible. So fire trucks, I think, are an exception. But a lot of times you'll hear police sirens, and those are almost universally intentional by some police department. We don't know which. because they don't have like a different siren for each department. That would be interesting though, wouldn't it? If you knew like, oh, that's the Norfolk County cops over there. And, oh, that's the Massachusetts State Police sirens. You know, that'd be kind of fun if you could discern them. But unfortunately, we don't have that.
Does Mr. Lally know what's on this thumb drive without you telling us?
I do not.
Okay.
We can approach and I can certainly bring it up.
We're trying to wrap up our morning.
It's,
It's marked for identification.
if I may, Your Honor, I'd like to play the first 10 seconds of that video.
No. We'll come to sidebar. It's marked for identification, right, Mr. Jackson?
So when we left off on Thursday, we were discussing the Sallyport video that was introduced by the Commonwealth on Wednesday.
Okay, that was the end of that day. And now we're on a new day. You can see his suit is different, and he's wearing different clothes and a tie.
During direct examination. Do you recall that?
I do.
When he introduced that video, Mr. Lally asked you several very specific questions about the video, including if you recognized the video in general, correct?
Yes, he did.
And you said you did.
I did.
He also asked you whether you recognized any of the individuals in the video at a particular time where he paused the video and you used your green laser pointer to point out a couple of individuals that you recognized. Do you recall that?
I do.
And in that pause, you indicated at that time on Wednesday that you recognized Trooper Proctor and what you thought was yourself, the person slipping at the front of the SUV, correct?
I indicated that Trooper Proctor and myself were in the video, and there was an individual slipping in the front of the vehicle.
And you then on Thursday, you corrected that to make sure that we were clear about it. The person slipping was actually the tow driver, not you, correct?
That's what it appeared, so yes.
Okay. I'd like to take a quick look at that with the court's permission at 4:46. May I publish
Okay?
that?
Yes.
This is 4:46. It's the same video that you were shown by Mr. Lally. We're at runtime about 5:37 and 05 p.m. I'm sorry, I said runtime. I meant time of day. Thank you. As a matter of fact, the time of day would be most easily seen right down here, although it's pretty small from where you're at. If you can't see that,
Oh
please let me
yeah,
know.
that's right. So Jackson realizes his insufficient grilling of Yuri, and he's like, okay guys, we don't need to go to the timestamps, just go to the clock at the bottom, the showing the time of day. Let's simplify it even further and crack this guy's skull open.
Time of day would be most easily seen right down here, although it's pretty small from where you're at. If you can't see that, please let me know.
I do not see that, no.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll hold off on that question, and I may ask the court for relief in just a moment. If we can play this for just a quick second, and I'll ask you, Mr. Biggs, if you can pause it. Go ahead and pause there. Okay. Sergeant, this is the basic video, the point at which it was paused when Mr. Lally asked you to identify the individuals in the video, correct?
I believe it was a different time, but I'm not sure.
Do you remember using your green laser pointer, pointing at the person in the back and identifying that person as Trooper Proctor, and then pointing at the person in the front, screen right, mistakenly as you? You remember that?
I remember indicating where the individuals would be, yes.
Okay. And so, do you have the green laser pointer with you?
I do.
Could you point at the location where you see Trooper Proctor?
I do not know specifically right now if that is Trooper Proctor behind the vehicle, but when Mr. Lally asked me to indicate where we would be, it was in this location here.
You're indicating toward the rear of the SUV.
Correct.
On Wednesday, and I just want to draw your attention back to your testimony on Wednesday, you used the laser pointer and pointed at two different individuals, the person toward the back, and you identified him as Mr. Proctor, as Trooper Proctor, correct? On Wednesday.
I indicated that Trooper Proctor and myself would be in the shot in the rear of the vehicle. And then I indicated that I'm wearing a olive drab baseball hat, and Trooper Proctor's wearing a winter-style knit black hat.
Isn't it true that on Wednesday, the question you were asked from Mr. Lally is, Ms. Gilman, from Mr. Lally, Ms. Gilman, if you can just pause there for a moment, as the sergeant's almost falling in the video, when the court said, "Keep your voice up, Mr. Lally." Do you recall that?
I do not recall that, no.
Do you remember
course
Mr.
not.
Lally saying, "Sergeant Bukhenik, with reference to any of the individuals you see in this video, do you recognize any of those individuals?" And you responding, "I can recognize Trooper Proctor and myself." And you used the green laser pointer in doing so.
Yes, I did.
And that was on this area, may not be to the frame, but this is where the video was paused when you made that identification, correct?
It was approximately at this time.
Okay. So you were then asked after you identified, and at that time you did identify Trooper Proctor and, again, mistakenly, yourself, correct?
I directed the laser to the area where we would be.
Okay. And Trooper Proctor is the one toward the back of the truck.
Again, I cannot tell you which individual. There are multiple individuals there. I do not know at this point in time where it's frozen if that's exactly Trooper Proctor. I know we were present at that location, and I know what he was wearing for a headdress and what I was wearing.
All right, so you have to move along from this point.
Then why did you, one more question, Your Honor. Then why on Wednesday did you indicate very clearly that the person toward the back of the SUV was Trooper Proctor? If you don't know, why did you say that on Wednesday?
During the frozen frame, I could tell there were two individuals back there, and I was, at one point in time, in that location with Trooper Proctor.
So it
Wow.
appeared to be Trooper Proctor in the back of the car.
From where the
You were
video is
there,
frozen right
dude.
now, I cannot tell.
Really?
So you're changing your testimony
Yeah.
from Wednesday.
Yeah.
Objection.
Are you changing your testimony?
Look, did you see how hard he swallowed? He's like, oh shit. You know, that's perjury, buddy. If you are now trying to like change your testimony, if you swore under oath, yes, that is Trooper Proctor, now you're saying, actually, that is not Trooper Proctor. I don't know who that is. I mean, they're not gonna nail him on like perjury charges or anything, but let's watch that clip again. I want to see that again. Watch how hard he swallows. He gets so scared trying to protect his buddy, former Massachusetts State Police Trooper Proctor.
From where the video is frozen
Watch
right
this.
now, I cannot tell.
So you're changing your testimony from Wednesday.
Objection.
Are you changing your testimony?
Did you see that hard swallow?
I am not changing my testimony, no.
Okay, next question, Mr. Jackson.
You
He's
then asked
so
whether the video
protected.
was true and accurate as in terms of its depiction of what was.
Oh, what a gross moment. I'm sorry. I just can't get over how gross that is, you guys. Oh, God. Like, my nose hairs stood up. That's how bad it stinks. That's how much that they're trying to protect him as much as possible. Oh!
What you observed in Sallyport that night, correct?
I indicated the video is true and accurate to the location.
And you were then asked whether or not, in looking at that video and watching it, either you or Trooper Proctor approached, manipulated, touched that right rear taillight at any time, and your answer was never, correct?
That's correct.
Lie.
You testified this is the video that was displayed for the jurors, correct? That it was this orientation, the front of the truck facing right, the rear of the truck facing left, correct?
That's correct.
And for all appearances, it would appear that the right rear taillight of the SUV is the one facing the jurors, if you will, facing the viewer, right? From appearances. You didn't know anything different.
Can you rephrase that question, please?
Sure. Just from the appearance of the video, as it is now, the appearance of the video looks like the right rear taillight is the taillight that's facing the jurors, facing the viewer, toward the rear of the truck, correct?
As it is frozen, correct.
And on Wednesday, I want to move through this relatively briefly, Sergeant. On Wednesday, you did not mention that this video was inverted, did you?
It was not brought out, no.
Not brought out by, I mean, that's a passive way of saying it. I'm asking you directly. Did you mention that this was an inverted video?
Not on Wednesday, no.
On Thursday, Mr. Lally finished his questioning on Wednesday, then came back on Thursday. You continued on direct examination under questioning by Mr. Lally again to start the day, correct?
That is correct.
And during that testimony on Thursday morning, you also, under direct examination, did not mention that this video was inverted, did you?
I did not know.
And then it was my turn to ask you questions.
Yeah.
You recall that?
I do.
And then I began asking you questions about the accuracy of this video. And at that time, for the first time, you said it appears that it is a mirror image. It's an inverted video, correct?
That's right.
I advised you that it is a mirrored image at that point, correct?
So you lied.
Would you agree with me now, as you sit here, that this video, as we're looking at it, is not a true and accurate depiction of what you viewed in that Sally Port that night?
Exactly.
I would not agree with you, no.
No?
You believe that what the
Really?
jurors are seeing right here is a true and accurate
What?
is true and accurate surveillance footage of the Sally Port that
What?
night.
Yes, it's just mirrored.
Which means what's left is right and what's right is left, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. If the jurors were actually standing where the camera is recording, which it's recording all accurate depiction of activity and events taking place,
Okay.
the back of the vehicle would be on the right and the front of the vehicle would be on the left, but all activity is accurately depicted in the video.
So, in point of fact, everything in this video, every bit of it, is reversed, correct?
Mirror image.
It's just a mirror image.
So it's not accurate, is it?
It's an accurate depiction of what has taken place.
Sergeant Bukhenik,
Oh my
if I
God.
were to ask you, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say you were investigating a circumstance in which a suspect was being identified by 5 witnesses based on a tattoo on that person's left arm.
That's a
And
good
then you
question.
go show that witness, or those series of witnesses, an inverted version of a photograph of that person with the tattoo appearing on his right arm. And those witnesses all say, no, that's not the guy. I remember the guy. The guy had the tat on the left arm. Would you
Yeah.
think that that's an accurate depiction of the person with the tattoo?
Objection.
Objection.
Sustained.
And it is sustained, but it doesn't matter. Jackson knew exactly what he was doing. You cannot ask a witness a hypothetical question that is not an expert witness. Every lawyer on the planet worth their salt knows that. Jackson knows that. He doesn't care about Yuri's answer, and he doesn't care about Lally's objection or Bev's sustaining of that objection. He knows all of that's going to happen. There will be no answer, there's going to be an objection, and it's going to be sustained unless Lally's asleep at the wheel. Jackson did it for the jury to understand that Yuri is a liar. The tattoo being on the left arm of the suspect, but you should go around showing everybody the tattoo on the right arm. It's misleading. It is not accurate. It is an inverted mirror image. Call it reverse, call it mirrored. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's not actually, if you had eyeballs looking at the scene that day instead of the camera, you would be seeing something different. And the answer is yes. You would be seeing something different. You'd be seeing the image the way it's supposed to be. Oh, I love it. A master trial lawyer. And I know I'm tooting his horn and everything, but I'm being serious. I'm being dead serious. For those of you rookies out there who may be thinking about law school or practicing attorneys and so on, that's how you do trial work. You know, in your mind, you know there's going to be an objection. The question you're asking is improper. This is all happening in real time in his head. Maybe he prepared it ahead of time. I don't know. Sometimes in the spur of the moment, you'll have something. You know, this is trial work. This is how trial work is done. The objection, the sustainment, the lack of answer, none of that matters. The jury heard it. It makes sense. And if the jury heard it, there is no... Sometimes prosecutors will go, Your Honor, I move to strike it from the record. It's not like jurors get their minds like deleted like Men in Black, you know, pew! You're going to forget everything that Jackson just said. And sometimes the judge will even instruct, you know, you are to forget everything that has been said with respect to this issue, which hasn't really been done in this case. But a lot of cases, prosecutors will go even further than that. But you can't wipe their memories for real. You can ask them to disregard it. Will they? That's a question for the jury. Do you see what I mean? Masterfully done. Masterfully done by Jackson. Getting a witness who does not want to cooperate, a prosecutor that is going to object, we know he's going to object, and the judge is going to sustain. And this was a very proper objection, 100%. You cannot ask a witness hypotheticals. Jackson knows that. He did it for the jury. Let's keep watching.
Do you agree with me that an inverted video is not accurate? It's inverted by definition, right?
It's an accurate depiction of the events taking place.
The witness just won't
You
cooperate.
reviewed this video in its entirety, you testified, correct?
Yes.
About how long would you say this video is in its runtime, from start to finish?
I did not take note of the length of the video.
All right. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Bates, if you could, with the court's permission, can you just pull the cursor back to the beginning of the time of day for this video? And pause it there. Can you see, and this is not an eye exam, can you see the timestamp on the lower left-hand side?
No, I cannot.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I could do this.
I'd like to see it sidebar. Jurors, sometimes lawyers have what we call stipulations rather than prolonging either testimony or calling an additional witness. Lawyers agree as to certain facts. So what the lawyers have agreed to here is that this video begins at 5:30 and 23 seconds, 5:30 p.m. and 23 seconds, and it ends at 5:48 and 15 seconds. And the total run time of the video is 5 minutes and 51 seconds.
And that's
Any
important.
questions?
Just under 18 minutes of footage in actual video footage. Starts at 5:30, ends at 5:48, plus or minus a few seconds. Okay? 18 minutes total of real life time. But what did you say, Bev?
And the total run time of the video is 5 minutes and 51 seconds.
The total runtime is less than a third. So we have almost 12 and a half minutes of actual footage missing. More than 2/3 gone, edited, cut, spliced, deleted, call it what you will. It's not there. And that is very important. Let's see what Jackson does with that information.
Your questions, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you for that, Your Honor. Sergeant Bukhenik, given the fact that the beginning time, the time of day, is 5:30 and 23 seconds in the evening, and the end time of this video stops at 5:48 and 15 seconds, would you agree with me, without doing the math down to the seconds, that's about 17 minutes and 50 seconds or so?
In real time, yes.
In real time. The actual time of this video, the run time of this video, however, is only 5 minutes and 51 seconds, less than 6 minutes. You'd agree with that?
That is what's captured.
So that means that about 2/3 of the video is missing, correct?
It's not missing, just not recorded.
What does that
It's
mean?
not there.
It was never there.
I'm not saying it was ever there. I'm saying I don't know if it was ever there or not. Neither do you. I'm saying it's not there.
Yeah, I love how Yuri's covering it was never there. How do you know? Are you the camera operative? Are you the one who extracted the video from the camera? Are you the one who gave it to the defense? No, no, and no. You had nothing to do. Why are you covering? What are you covering for? Oh, you're covering for your buddies. Right. It was never there. It never existed. Stop trying to imply things that didn't happen.
It was never recorded.
What does that
you
mean?
don't know what has been and wasn't recorded.
Yeah, how do you
Judge.
know?
I'll let him answer.
Yeah, you don't know that.
I can only speak to what was turned over and what
Yeah,
we received.
yeah.
And based on the evidence that was produced, the video that was produced is what we got.
I understand.
Uh-huh.
So based on that answer, you acknowledge you don't know what may or may not have been recorded without your knowledge.
Exactly.
No.
Right.
There you go. Got him.
Did you notice that there were obvious portions of the video that in which individuals just seemed to appear or apparate out of nowhere?
It's not a smooth recording of the events. When the motion triggers the recording, the video appears as if a person appeared in the video. But that is due to the triggering of the recording.
Well,
Oh, so now it's the camera's fault. We didn't do anything to it. It's just the camera, when it doesn't detect motion, it just doesn't record. What, to preserve tape? Because the police department doesn't have enough money from all the money they steal from citizens after they pull them over and go through their wallets? Oh, that's a real thing, folks. Look it up. It's a real thing. Cops do that all the time. I get calls from clients. They're like, I had, $100, $200, $500 in my wallet. It's all gone. I'm like, oh, did they apply it to like your jail bond or something? Like, no. It's just gone. They took it, and you'll never be able to prove that it was there. They're thieves. They're gangsters. Gangsters who operate within the confines of the law. It's terrifying. The Blue Line Gang is the biggest gang in the United States of America. So thin blue line my ass.
It is due to the triggering of the recording.
Well, you don't know what it's due to because you're not an IT person who actually captured the video, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask that differently.
It's true.
Sure. You're not the IT person, the technical person who captured this video, correct?
I am not, no.
You don't maintain this video system, do you?
I do not know.
You don't know the inner workings of how the video system was originally installed or how it operates, correct?
Based on my training and experience, I know that certain systems, due to the restrictions of the storage of the system, they try to save the storage and trigger the recording only by motion or certain time parameters. So in this video footage, I could tell you that the video is triggered by motion to record.
Well, how much storage did this system have?
I do not know.
What was the level of storage at the time that this video was taken? Was it 60%? Was it 99%? What was it?
I do not know.
So you actually don't know, Sergeant, the inner workings of this system, do you?
I do not know all the inner workings of the system, though.
But you do know.
But based on my training and experience, I know just enough to tell you to go screw yourself because everything you're saying is irrelevant. Can we get Mr. Lally back up here? I liked his questions better. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Those will be all the questions you will be asking of me today. I'm certain that that's what he wants to say. He just can't say it.
that there appears to be portions of this video missing and portions of this video in which people just seem to apparate out of nowhere.
It's not missing. It just was not recording.
Let's move to.
Oh my God.
I think it's 5:37. A few seconds. Okay, if we could, with the court's permission, can we play about less than a minute?
Yes.
Pause it. Did you see where the person that was toward the back of the vehicle went in this video?
It appeared they went behind the vehicle.
Which would be which area of the vehicle, the right or the left, in real life, not on this video?
In real life, it would be the right rear portion of the vehicle.
Toward the taillight area.
That quarter panel, correct?
Let's go ahead and play it.
Wow, he actually agreed for once. What an anomaly.
Pause it. Did it appear that someone just seemed to appear out of nowhere toward the rear of the vehicle? Just now?
Due to the triggering of the motion.
I asked you why. I asked you if.
Yeah.
Did it appear if someone just appeared out of nowhere?
Yes or no?
In the back of the vehicle.
That's what the footage represents, yes.
Can we go ahead and play this? Pause it. Did you see that the person walking away from the vehicle that you earlier on Wednesday identified as Trooper Proctor appeared to have a notebook, black portfolio in his hand?
Yes, I did.
And can you see from there, I'm going to ask you this basically knowing the answer, can you see from there the time of day on the lower left side as that person leaves the screen?
No, I cannot.
Would you disagree if I indicated to you that was 5:38 and 7 seconds in the evening?
I would have to see it for myself. I cannot agree with you based on your statement.
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Sure.
Okay, so he did it. He finally got Yuri to get up there, point it out, and say, that is accurate.
All right, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have an opportunity to look at the time of day at the point that the video is paused right now?
Yes, I did.
What is that time of day?
5:38:07.
5:38 and 7 seconds, correct?
That's correct.
And remind me about how far of a drive in time is this location at Canton PD from 34 Fairview?
With no traffic, no adverse weather and road conditions, several minutes, 4 minutes maybe, 5 minutes, depending which route you take.
Your Honor, I have a flash drive that I'd like to have marked.
Is this a different flash drive than we had on Friday?
It is, and I can explain it sidebar if the court wishes.
All right. Are you just marking it, or you intend to show it?
I intend to show it with the court's permission.
All right. So we'll mark it for identification, and then I do need to see you. Yes. Does counsel need to see me, or are we all set?
I think we're all set.
Okay. Right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask for the admission of the last item that was marked for identification.
XX.
I think
Was it YY? Oh, that was back again.
I did the same
Okay.
thing. I think it's
All right.
XX.
So that will now be what, Madam Court Reporter?
542.
Thank you.
And with the court's permission, I'd ask to display that video. Is yours?
Okay.
Thanks. If you could move that to a runtime of 1 minute and 17 seconds or thereabouts.
So now this part, I think, of the trial was by far the most brilliant by the defense team. Jackson corrected the video for them, because you have to remember the mind is, although we like to think that we're very intelligent creatures, we're really not. We're very easily influenced. We're very easily manipulated. No matter how many times you want to tell me ads don't work, then explain to me why hundreds of billions of dollars every year are spent in ad revenue to get you to buy things, and nothing's changed. If anything, it's increased because they work. And so when the mind sees, the right taillight and nobody touching it, even though you're continuously told that's not the right rear, that's the left, that's the right is the left is the right is the left is the right. The brain can't you can't look at something and in your head just flip the image. You're not a computer in that sense. And so Jackson is doing it for them. He's like, let me show you what it actually looked like, so that their brains can finally have the correct images in their heads of what happened. Let's watch. I love this part so much.
And go ahead and pause that. Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in what's just been marked as...
Because now you see the right rear taillight is concealed, and now the brain goes, okay, I get it. That's what it looks like, and that's their SUV. And of course, the defense at the time was trying to explain to the jury somebody, something, somehow, in some way, manipulated the parts, the pieces, because we have the testimony of Nicholas Barrows, who says the taillight was cracked but not broken. Cracked but not broken. And everybody else is like, yeah, it was broken. It was broken. It was broken. We found pieces. They were scattered, shattered, blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, man.
Exhibit 542.
I do.
How do you recognize that?
It's an inversion of the video provided from Canton PD Sally Point.
It's actually, and that inversion corrects the perspective. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay, so now we're looking at what we've always been looking at, but it's clear that we're looking at the driver's side of the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
And it's everything in it's properly oriented, is that right?
It's an accurate depiction of what is taking place.
Meaning right is right and left is left in this video.
The vehicle came from the right into the left. The driver's side is visible and is closest to the camera.
If we could go ahead and, thank you, Sergeant. If we could go ahead and play this for just a few seconds, please. Pause it. You saw the person that was toward the back of the vehicle that you earlier on Wednesday identified as Trooper Proctor moving toward the right, the passenger side taillight area in this video, correct?
I observed the person walking that way.
Let's go ahead and play it. And you see the person toward the taillight area moving out of frame just now, correct?
I did, yes.
And that person had that black portfolio in his hand.
That's correct.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bates if you wouldn't mind moving the cursor back to the beginning before the before the SUV was actually in the sally port. If you can pause that. Do you see what's depicted in the video now at runtime, at the beginning of the video?
I see the still frame. I'm observing the still frame.
Okay, fair enough. Can you see from where you are, sir, can you see the chyron at the bottom of the video in blue, indicating the date stamp and time stamp? Can you see that from where you are?
I see the blue color. I don't know what exactly it is.
Are your eyes good enough to see that that is completely inverted?
They are not.
They're not inverted?
They are not good enough.
That was a good answer to a bad question on my part. With the court's permission, would it be possible for the sergeant to approach the screen and take a look at that timestamp?
Yep.
Can you do that, Sergeant, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you able to, may I inquire? Yes. Were you able to see that timestamp?
Yes, I was.
Sergeant, did that timestamp appear to be inverted?
The blue writing appears to be backwards.
So in this version of the video, which has been inverted from the version shown by the Commonwealth, the timestamp also was inverted, correct?
What appears on the screen is inverted.
Notice how he can't answer because he knows the answer is going to help Ellen Jackson and the team, and he doesn't want to help them. He's like, yeah, it's inverted. Like it's what's on the screen. Why are you asking me? Yeah, whatever. I don't care. But when Lally asks him questions, which we're not going to go over, he's always like, oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah, Mr. Lally. Oh, I mean, my friend.
I'd like to zoom in on, just with the court's permission, on a portion of the middle of the video.
Okay.
Sergeant, I want to direct your attention to an area of the video right above the hand truck. Do you see that area?
I do.
Do you see that white object just above the snow line?
I see something there. I do not know what it is, if it's an object or it's more snow.
Can you tell if that's a sort of a dirty white rag?
I cannot tell what it is.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Fish. We can take that down. We've seen a corrected version of that Sallyport video from that camera. There's also another camera on the opposite side of the Sallyport, isn't there?
There is.
And that one, for lack of a better phrase, that one came out pretty grainy. Would you agree?
Yes, it's not perfect quality.
The other view would show, given the fact that it's on the opposite side of the wall of this video, that actually would show the right rear portion of the SUV as it was parked in that Sallyport, would it not?
Yes, it would.
Let's take a look with the court's permission. This has already been marked as 446. I believe it was introduced last week. If court's permission,
Okay.
would you display that?
Yes.
Thank you. I know it's very hard to see, Sergeant, but could you tell me, as the video is paused right here at the beginning of the timestamp, can you see the outline of the antique police car?
I can make that out, yes.
And it appears that there's no vehicle in the foreground this side of that antique police car, correct?
That's correct.
You also can see that this video is in fact not inverted. It's the correct orientation, right?
Oh.
That's correct.
Whoever pulled that video manually inverted it to make it look like Proctor didn't do anything and hoping that the defense would miss it or just make it harder on them. Who knows?
Obviously, it's pretty lacking in quality, but you can make out the fact that there is an outline of a vehicle there, correct?
Correct.
If we could play, may I approach the screen briefly?
Yes.
If we could, with the court's permission, begin playing at this time, this is about 5:07 and 10 seconds. That's time of day. We could play for about a little less than a minute.
Okay.
So the camera is recording whether there's movement or not. It's pitch black in there. There's nobody in there. And the camera continuously records. That is huge. Huge.
Did you see what was depicted on the video that just ran from 5:07 and a few seconds until it was just paused?
I did watch the video.
And how much time would you estimate elapsed as we just watched that video in real time?
15 seconds, maybe.
Okay. And do you see something? You see something in the foreground that just sort of appeared there next to that antique police car?
It appears that the SUV has now pulled into the Sally Port, and there's an individual standing behind the SUV.
And do you see what the time of day is on that timer?
I do not.
Can you see that it's paused at 5:50 and 46 seconds?
I cannot.
This is the last time I would ask that unfortunately, I cannot zoom on this, Your Honor. With the court's permission, would the sergeant make one more trip to the screen to give us the exact time that this is paused?
This is the last time, Sergeant. Would you please?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
What was the time? What is the timestamp where the video is paused?
5:50:46.
5:50 and 46 p.m. Correct?
That's correct.
So it appears that this video in about 15 seconds jumps 42 minutes to the 5:50 mark. Correct?
I don't know how much it jumps.
Well, from 5:08 approximately to 5:50 approximately. How much time is that?
Approximately 48.
Can you do math?
42 minutes, right?
Excuse me, 42. Yes.
That's okay.
There you go.
And
apparently
this
you can't do
rear
math.
Vehicle, which shows the right rear taillight portion, just appears, correct? At 5:50.
There's a vehicle that appears. There appears to be an individual standing behind the vehicle. It's not just a taillight that appears.
But Sergeant, the exact time that would show what Trooper Proctor was doing at the right rear taillight, that is missing.
Objection.
Sustained.
It's true.
The exact
Oh, that's big.
time that would show what the person who you identified on Wednesday as being Trooper Proctor, that video is not there, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
This video, Sergeant, you will agree, if that 42-minute period existed, that would have been the only video that would establish the actual condition of the taillight the moment the SUV arrived in police custody in that Sally Port, correct?
Objection.
You can ask that differently.
Is there any other video other than this one that would show the exact condition of that taillight as it pulled in to the driveway, to the Sally Port? Or is this the only one?
From that location,
Correct.
that is the video that captures that time frame.
And that's also the video that captures that area of the car, correct? The right rear portion of the car.
Correct.
And that 42 minutes, and when the car arrived until 5:50 in the evening, that portion is missing, correct?
It's not missing, it's just not recorded.
It's not there, Sergeant Bukhenik. I'm not splitting words with you, splitting hairs. It's not there. It's gone, correct?
It's not on the screen now.
It's not anywhere, is it?
I do not know.
That's all I have.
Okay.
All right. So Mr. Lally gets back up there and does his redirect. We're going to skip that and we're going to dive right back into the recross.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Any recross?
Very briefly.
Okay.
In your report to the OCME, you said it was a glass to the face, not to the back of the head, correct?
I'm not sure how they wrote it down, but I would need to be refreshed on my memory.
Okay, fair enough. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, Sergeant. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, it does.
What did you say to the or what did you report to the OCME?
That there was a possibility that the decedent was struck to the face with a glass.
You also, with regard to the phrase, I hit him, or
The decedent was struck to the face with a glass. When did that happen? Where? At the waterfall? Wouldn't people have talked about John getting hit in the face with a glass? Was he just outside randomly walking around in the snow and somebody just threw a glass at him? Oh, honey, he went into that house, didn't he? How else would he be struck in the face with a glass if he didn't go inside that house? Come on.
Sergeant Good and or Flamati telling you that she said, Ms. Reed said she hit him. When did Sergeant Good tell you that?
It would have been during our conversations at the police department.
And when did EMT Flamati tell you that?
He never told me that.
So the only thing you were going on with regard to the phrase or the statement that you claim my client indicated, where my client indicated she hit him, is coming from Sergeant Good.
That information at that time was provided by the first responders from the scene.
And Sergeant Good then relayed that to you, correct?
At some point, yes.
Is there a single report memorializing that Sergeant Good reported to you that morning before 10:41 a.m., before 10:41 a.m., that my client made the statement that she hit him?
I don't believe so.
Didn't happen.
I want to shift gears real quick to the video. A couple of quick questions about that. When did you, and I'm talking about the higher quality video, the one that was inverted. When did you receive that video? What date?
I'm not sure. It was at some point in either late April or early May.
After we had started this trial.
Objection.
Do you know?
It's
I
a
do
valid
not.
question.
Okay.
If after mid-April, correct?
I believe so. I'm strictly speculating.
Who asked you to retrieve that video?
I did not retrieve that video.
I'm sorry, that was a presumptuous question. At what point were you asked to secure the video? Or were you ever asked to secure the video?
That video was never secured by me. I was not asked to secure it. I just was asked to review it.
Okay, so who did secure the video to your knowledge?
I do not know.
You are aware that it was, well, let me ask you a couple of different questions then, based on that. You've already testified that you knew that the Canton Police Department was recused from any investigation concerning this case, correct?
At one point, we learned that the Canton Police Department, the decision was made way above my level, and I was advised
Nobody
by
cares.
Detective Lieutenant Tully that Canton Police had recused themselves from the investigation as far as interviews go.
And by the way, for the record, Brian Tolley is the one that we are doing next on this channel. It's funny that he actually brings it up right at the end of his testimony, since we only have about a minute or less left. So let's finish this up, folks, and go.
Refusal was because of a connection between the Canton Police Department and the Albert family, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you know or were you informed that the recusal was based on the connection between the Canton Police Department and the Albert family?
Objection.
So it's sustained for the same reason I sustain the Commonwealth's objection at sidebar, Mr. Jackson.
Last question. Who provided the video?
I do not know.
Canton Police Department, wasn't it?
You asked who? That's an entity.
Okay. What entity provided the video?
It came from the Canton Police Department.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Sergeant, you are all set, sir.
Thank you.
You are all set, Mr. Sergeant.